Hello and welcome to the Irish Estate. Previously, I was explaining how the 3rd Earl of Limerick commissioned a new home for himself. This was Dromore Castle, today a spectacular ruin some 10 miles west of Limerick City. The architect responsible for designing Dromore was Edward William Godwin, whose career was as remarkable as the house that he created. Born in 1833 in Bristol, Godwin was a man of many interests. He didn't just design houses, but all sorts of household items, many of them offered for sale in premises he opened in London. To some extent, Godwin's work, especially during the early years and in his ideas for fabrics and wallpapers, reflected the influence of William Morris. But some of the furniture he produced could be quite strikingly modern, such as this sideboard, which looks as though it dates from the 1920s, but was actually created in the late 1860s, precisely the period he was working at Dromore. As many of his other pieces indicate, he was among the first designers to embrace the aesthetics of Japan. Extremely eclectic, he never seems to have thought one particular period or place or even area design should be exclusively his orbit of interest. In 1884, for example, just a few years before his death, he was appointed head of a new costume department at Liberty's department store in London. Meanwhile, employed as an architect, one of his most notable clients was the artist James McNeill Whistler. Curiously enough, after Godwin died, Whistler would marry his widow. Long before then, however, in 1877, Whistler commissioned Godwin to design a new residence for him on London's Tite Street, at the time very much the centre of the city's cultural life. The White House, so called because of the colour of its exterior walls, was very much a statement of the new aesthetic movement's principles and had a considerable influence on the later generation of architects. Sadly, it was demolished in the mid-1960s. But another of Godwin's houses, today number 44 Tite Street, still stands. Commissioned like the White House in 1877, it served again as both a domestic residence and an artist's studio. In this instance, the client was painter Frank Miles. Miles specialised in fashionable portraits, such as that of Lily Langtry, painted in the house in 1884. 44 Tite Street is also where Oscar Wilde lived for a period as Frank Miles's lodger, prior to his year-long visit to the United States in 1882-83, the visit that made him famous on both sides of the Atlantic. So that gives you an idea of Edward Godwin and his milieu. And in the next episode, I want to look at some of the influences that were brought to bear in his design of Dromore Castle. I look forward to seeing you then. Thank you so much for watching The Irish Estate. Goodbye.